Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Sandy McDonald. I'm the Director of the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon for one of our technical assistance training, but it's really not a training. This is more like a technical assistance announcement. If you are a for-profit business, if you are a non-for-profit business, and you want to know where there's access and/or opportunity for affordable lending, you've come to the right place today. So I'm going to get you started. Then I'm going to pass you over, not to a guest, I'm going to pass you over to one of our partners, and they're going to give you more devil in the detail about their organization and specifically why we're here today to talk about SOAR. SOAR, which is actually the Southern Opportunity Resilience Fund. But next slide. So again, we're the Office of Economic and Small Business Development, and about us, small business focus here at the Broward County, promotes business growth, promotes Broward as a film destination. That's a new addition to us this year. We educate aspiring entrepreneurs. We got our upcoming cohort for the Kaufman Fast Track program coming up later in August, and we're service agents. I'm excited about the fact that we're a service agency because we work with all county agencies. We get to work with all county agencies because the small business program starts here. If Broward County agencies are looking to buy any good, material, service, or product, prior to buying it, our office gets to take a peek, gets to take a look, and we get to see, can we carve out some small business opportunities? So we work as a service agency with all the county agencies and purchasing to assure that there's real opportunities for small business. Next slide. And we're here to do those things as written as a part of the goals that are given to us, that are charged to us by the Broward County Board of County Commissioners. Create a vibrant economy, ensuring economic opportunities for all people and businesses in Broward, prominently branding Broward, all the things we want to do. We want folks to know this is who Broward is, and consistently delivering responsive, efficient, and quality services. But for today, I need you to focus on that second bullet point as a goal, ensuring economic opportunities for all people and businesses in Broward. And pre-COVID, during COVID, and as we transition out of COVID, one way to ensure economic opportunities for all people and businesses in Broward, specifically for businesses in Broward, aspiring entrepreneurs in Broward, startup businesses in Broward, is to make sure that they are aware of some funding opportunities, access to capital. Whoever you are as a business, entrepreneur or startup, whether you're in your third or your fifth year of business, if you're ever talking about scaling up your business, expanding your business, revisiting and pivoting in your business, there's always going to be a question in that process about capital. Where and/or do you have access to capital? That's why we're here today, folks. We want to make sure that you are aware of one of the programs or one of the initiatives and a great partner of ours who can assure that you have an opportunity to have access to that capital. Next slide. So why SOAR for Broward County? And you're going to hear more about that when I introduce our partner today. Why SOAR is almost one of those why not. They're going to tell you more about the Southern Opportunity and Resilience Fund. They're going to tell you how it's available to for-profit businesses as well as nonprofits. They're going to tell you better than other rates out here what those interest rates will actually hit you at. But more importantly, they're going to tell you how you might qualify in a manner that traditionally you may not qualify it with other banking institutions. This is important, and they're going to give you the real devil in the details. This is important because we recognize businesses have to not only survive, we have to put them in a position to thrive if we're going to have a sustainable county and a sustainable economy. Businesses certainly want to know, where's the grants? I'm one of the first people to tell you that the grants are really gone. The funding and the capacity and the manner upon which we received for 2 years or so under COVID, really gone. But there are real lending opportunities. And more importantly, there's also lending opportunities that are available for those who might not be able to meet some of the conditions and the criteria of traditional banking. So with that, let me do some housekeeping before I send you to the presenter today. If you have any questions, we will entertain questions at the end of the presentation. So put your questions in the Q&A. But the chat, that's your shout out. Whenever we do networking sessions, even we're doing them virtual these days, we want to make sure that you know who's in the room, and we want to make sure they know that you're in the room. So feel free to say hi, give your company's name, and put that in the chat so that information can go back and forth. But don't spend so much time in there that you miss the golden nuggets that are getting ready to be shared. So with that, let me introduce you to our presenter today, Mr. Joseph Gray, the Senior Director for the National Development Council, and he's going to tell you more about NDC, who they are, how and why they're here, how long they've been here, but bigger than that, how long they've been in existence, and the wonderful things they're doing across the country, and we're now able to benefit from that. We were introduced to them a few years back, and I'm so excited that we were, through the Urban League of Broward County and their relationship, and this is how we met in DC. So with that, I won't steal any more of Joe's thunder. Joe, thank you and NDC for doing this SOAR announcement for us today, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sandy. Thanks for creating this opportunity. We are really excited to be partnering with Broward County, with the Office of Small Business and Economic Development over the past couple years to work with businesses in the county. We're going to talk about SOAR today. We're doing some other programming with the county around small business lending that I'll also mention in the presentation. But we are really, really happy to be here and happy to be a part of the county's Broward County ecosystem working with small businesses. Let's go to the first slide, please. So at NDC, our tagline is homes, jobs, and people, because that's really what we're about. We're really big in affordable housing all over the country. Most of what we do on the economic side is really designed to create jobs and to lift up people and communities in the areas where we work. Next slide. So our overall mission, NDC, as Sandy mentioned, we're a national nonprofit organization. We've been around for over 50 years. We were born during the Civil Rights Movement in 1969 with the intent to facilitate investment in communities, particularly in low income and in communities of low-income communities and communities of color. So what we try to do is to build capacity within those communities, to develop quality, affordable housing, to create jobs, and to improve overall community livability situations in the communities that we work in. And again, we're really excited about being able to partner with folks here in Broward County to do all of those things. Next slide. So the point for us is to not just come in and we are a fairly big nonprofit, and we've got a couple of CDFIs that we use to direct investment to communities, but we don't want to be a banker. We didn't get into this just to do transactions. We're really all about impact in communities, and we think that the best way we can impact, be a positive force in communities in terms of that impact, is through these four areas. One, again, helping to create affordable housing opportunities in the communities that we work in, and we all know that here in Florida, that's a huge issue for us, and it impacts everything else that happens. If you don't have a good base of quality and affordable housing, then it makes it hard to do business in that community. So we've got several methods and facilities that we use to invest in communities. And over the past 50 years, we've invested billions of dollars in the communities that we're working in, both in the development of housing, in small business lending, and in social infrastructure, which is something that not a lot of people know about our work there, but we do a lot with public facilities development, public infrastructure development. Next slide. So I'm going to focus our discussion today on SOAR, but I want to talk about how we do that. Again, we've got a couple of community development finance institutions that we operate to drive capital to business. The first and the oldest one for us is our Grow America Fund. And we are one of only, for a long time, we were the only nonprofit SBA 7A certified lender in the country. Now, I believe there are a couple more, but not many nonprofits are licensed to do SBA lending. That allows us to do loans ranging from as small as 50,000 up to around 5 million. It's more for the SBA program is really about helping businesses to expand and grow, and it's more designed for established businesses, but it is available, and it's part of our continuum of lending products and services that we offer to businesses in the communities that we work in. Next slide. And with SBA, with that certification, we were able to play a huge role in the COVID response, particularly the PPP lending. And we were fortunate to do quite a bit of PPP lending in Broward County, and to be able to assist businesses that really weren't able to get into the game, at least in that first round, where the banks were focusing more on their preferred customer list and not really focused on those small and minority owned businesses. And that's where we put all of our focus in terms of our PPP program. And we're quite successful in getting resources to those businesses. But the CDFI that we use most often, and the one that's responsible for administering the SOAR program, is our Community Impact Loan Fund, which we call SILF. We set that fund up in 2016 with the specific intent of creating something that would give us the flexibility that we realized after years and years of experience that was necessary to reach the businesses that we were trying to reach, and that mainly small women and minority-owned businesses that have problems accessing capital through those traditional systems and networks. So SILF is the organization that all of our lending activity flows through. It's also the organization that we use to implement a wide range of wraparound support services for businesses, particularly, again, tailored to BIPOC businesses. Next slide. So what is the SOAR program, the Southern Opportunity and Resilience Loan Fund? It's a huge fund that was created about a year ago in response to COVID, and to really focus on low income and minority business owners in the southern part of the country that have been impacted by COVID, and to provide quick, flexible capital to those businesses to be able to, without a lot of strings attached, without a lot of onerous underwriting attached to it. And we partner with the county, with Broward County, to make that resource available to businesses here in Broward County. So who's eligible for SOAR? Basically, SOAR targets small businesses with 50 employees or less. One of the things that's really unique about this loan fund is one of the few loan funds or loan lending programs available anywhere that I know of that not only lends to small businesses, but also lends to nonprofits, because we realize that those organizations were severely impacted by COVID, and that in the communities that we're focusing on, nonprofit organizations play a huge role in determining community livability. So it's basically again a fund that's going to be available for for-profit businesses and nonprofit businesses, and it's available to anybody. Any business or nonprofit can qualify for the fund. For us, from a marketing standpoint, and where we put our focus is really reaching out and trying to work with businesses that are owned by women and people of color. Next slide. And this slide just shows the states where the SOAR fund is operating. Fortunately, Florida is one of those states, and I'm proud to say that Florida is leading the charge in terms of lending for SOAR. We've done more SOAR loans in Florida, us and the other CDFIs that are involved, than any of the other states, any of the other 12 states, I believe, that are involved. It also lists here all of the organizations that are licensed to participate in the SOAR fund. So when you go on and apply for the fund, basically the system is gonna try to direct you to the organization, to the CDFI that is best suited to meet your needs. In Broward County, that would be us. I'd like to think. So you'll have a choice. Once you go on, it'll identify lenders that you can use, and we hope that you'll choose NDC because of the other resources that we can connect you to in addition to the SOAR fund. Next slide. So a little more detail on how SOAR works, what it is, how do you qualify for SOAR. First of all, SOAR is in terms of being eligible for SOAR, there are some basic things basic criteria that you have to meet, but it's designed to be quick and simple. So one of the things is, again, you have to be a small business with fewer than 50 employees and less than 5 million in revenues generated per year. And we verify that by looking at tax returns. That's one of the main things that we'll require from a documentation standpoint, and probably the only real financial document that we'll ask to see. we'll ask you to sign an attestation that basically says that you're not involved in any illegal activities, that don't already have a SOAR loan. One of the SOAR was set up again as a response to COVID. So they'll ask you to provide a statement about economic hardship that that COVID had on your business, and that can be just a general statement from you. I think we've all been impacted in one way or another. So it's not something where you have to provide a detailed explanation or statistics or anything close to the level of information that you had to provide for PPP or EIDL or any of those programs. It's really just a statement. We're targeting businesses that have been in business since before March of 2020. If your business started after March of 2020, though, we're generally able to work around it as the time has passed since that time. We really just look back at the last couple of years, and that again, we'll verify the size of your business. From an ownership standpoint, we'll look for all of photo IDs for anybody that has 20% or more ownership in the business, and some evidence of the organization's legal formation status, whether it's LLC or S Corp or that kind of documentation. And that's pretty much it on the eligibility side. We're gonna, again, each of those owners would have to, everybody that has 20% or more ownership in the business would be subject to a credit check and would need to sign a personal guarantee for it. For nonprofits, we basically just look at the nonprofit status, and ineligible businesses or activities for the fund or any kind of corporate owned franchises. Obviously, banks, other branches, payday loan stores, pawn shops, astrology or palm reading businesses, adult bookstores, and gambling institutions. So all of this mostly what's referred to as sin businesses. Our priorities in terms of the businesses that we're looking at are generally going to be smaller businesses, restaurants, personal services, retail operations, beauty salons, barbershops, childcare, even construction businesses or entertainment venues are eligible to apply. And again, our priority is for us is BIPOC owned businesses. All right. And no collateral is required for the loans. The loans are basically can be 60 month or 72 month, 5 to 7 years for the 5-year loans. The rates for businesses are 4%, and for nonprofits it's 3%. Pretty, we think, pretty astounding in the current environment. And for the 7-year terms, it just goes up a half a percentage point to 4.5% rates for for-profit businesses, 3.5% for nonprofits. The first year of the loan is interest only. You only make interest payments for the first 12 months. Following that, for the next 4 or 6 months, depending on whether it's a 5 or 7-year loan, then you pay principal and interest. So that first 12-month period is really designed to provide additional space for businesses to sort of get on their feet before they have to start worrying about making full loan payments. You can use the funds for almost anything. We basically are categorizing the loans as working capital, so you can use it, which doesn't preclude you from using it for things like fixed assets and equipment, but it gives you the ultimate flexibility to be able to use it to meet whatever immediate needs you have, without a lot of having to go through a lot of oversight and documentation on the use of funds. There's the origination fee is between 3 and 5%, depending on the lenders. For us, I think we are right at 4% origination fee for those loans. Now, how much can you borrow with SOAR? Basically, we look at your monthly revenue for a 3-month period prior to the COVID outbreak. So for those businesses that were in business prior to March of 2020, we look at the 3 months immediately prior to that, and whatever the average revenue is, we can provide a loan for that 3-month revenue amount, or up to $100,000, whichever one of those is the lesser amount in terms of the maximum loan amount. If the business was formed around or after or during COVID, then we look at basically the 3-month average revenue period from when the business started, or when you got back into business. Let me back up and say that you can't be a startup and get these funds. It has to be, you would have to have been in business for at least a year. Next slide. So again, for us, it's not about just dispersing funds. We really are focused on making sure that businesses have access to capital on an equitable basis. We hope that the funding is going to result in additional jobs in the communities that we work with. We work very hard with the businesses, all of the businesses that we work with in the SOAR fund and in our other funds, to make sure that it's not just, again, about doing a loan for a business, but really ensuring that that business has an opportunity to be successful and builds resilience. So we do a lot with training, with mentoring, with counseling. We've got a entrepreneurship academy that we've launched in combination with our loan funds that allows businesses to work with us and our partners in the area to participate in an ongoing training and capacity building activities designed to make sure that the business, one, is successful in getting the capital that you need, and two, is able to have long-term success to scale and grow as at a rate that makes sense for that business. Next slide. So today, the fund is open. You can apply. You just go to the soarfund.org, and there's a you can begin the application process online. Once you go on, you'll be prompted. It'll ask you for some basic information. It'll then give you a list of CDFIs that you can work with. NDC will be one of the organizations included in that list, and you just need to select us, apply. It generally takes about a week to 2 weeks to go from application to closing. If you have everything, if you have all of the information that's required. Again, it's designed to be super simple and an easy process to work through. With that, I think we'll open it up for questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. Let's see here. We have quite a few questions in the Q&A area. We will start with Iceland Kate. The question is, what credit score do you need to borrow? It appears that your colleague, Mr. Cunningham, responded in the Q&A, but perhaps you want to also expound upon that as well.
All right. A 620 minimum is what we look for, but we really aren't focusing on credit score. We're focusing on the borrower. So if you have a credit score, and we realize that one of the impacts that COVID had on all of us is that people's credit were impacted. So if you've got a credit score that's less than 620, and you've got a reasonable explanation for why it's lower than that, we've done loans in the mid 500s under this program. But
thank you, Joe.
Thank you, and thank you, Brian.
Next question comes from Sierra Hilaire. Can nonprofits that file a 990N or EZ apply for this loan?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. That was short and sweet. Next question comes from Ron Laporte. What about a business that was created during COVID?
For that business, I would say you need to talk to us. Talk to me, talk to Brian. We will, in some cases, we've got a small percentage of our Soar portfolio that we can use for startups. And so on a case-by-case basis, we consider startups to use that allocation for, or we've got other programs that may be more appropriate. For instance, here in Broward County, we're also partnering with the county on a revolving loan fund program in the Broward Municipal Service District. So if you're in unincorporated Broward County, then we've got a lot of different options that we can offer businesses, from startups up to businesses that are trying to grow and build capacity.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that response. Our next question is from Cheryl Dice. My company started operations right before COVID and was in the negative that year. Does this mean I will not qualify?
So your company started and you were in the negative. It doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't qualify. It's gonna, what it's gonna impact is the amount of funding that you'll qualify for. So again, we'll take a look at your first few months of operating revenue and see if that, see what that 3-month average is. But in general, it's going to be difficult for a company that was just started or was in business only a short period of time to get a substantial amount of funding through this program. But again, we've got other programs that we can use to support you. So for us, SOAR is part of a continuum of capital that we provide. We've got resources that are both local, thanks to the county, and we've got national resources that we're able to bring to bear depending on the business. So if you qualify for SOAR, we're gonna get you into SOAR. If you qualify for SOAR and BMSD, we're gonna get you in SOAR and BMSD. If you qualify for SOAR, BMSD, SBA, you need more funding, then we're gonna get that to you. So I think that one way, we've got enough tools in the toolbox that there aren't many operating businesses that we can't find a way to support.
Wonderful, great. So Cheryl, just give NDC a call, right?
That's right.
All right.
Call me or call Brian. Brian's smarter than me. So I'd say call Brian and he'll make it happen.
All right. The next question comes from Doozy App. And the question is, are origination fees paid upfront or factored into the amortization?
They are factored into the amortization. So the fee can come out of the loan.
Great, thank you. Next question comes from Chelsea. Can a sole proprietor apply?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would say that the majority of the folks that have participated in the program so far have been sole proprietors. So it's really geared towards those smaller businesses. So the short answer is yes. And if you're a sole proprietor, and particularly for those folks that are out there that are just getting started in your business journey, I would really advise you to connect with us. One of the things that's part of our mantra is we're never going to say no to you. We may tell you not now, or we may tell you that you need to do this, that, or the other in order to qualify, but we'll give you an honest assessment of where you are as a business. But more importantly, we'll work with you from where you are to get you to where you're trying to be, whether that's you're trying to get up and started, or you're trying to grow your business and take it to scale. We've got programs, we've got activities, we've got training, we've got a lot of connections to resources in the county and in the area in general to help you to get where you need to be.
Great, thank you so much. Next question comes from Sheann Sterling. How many years of tax return is needed?
We generally look at 2 years of tax returns. I mean, we'll ask for 3. 2 is good. If you've got 1 and if you've been in business over a year, we'll look at your last full year tax returns, and then we'll look at your financial statements up to the current period.
Okay, Sheehan also has another question. Is your credit score used to make a determination of the amount of the loan?
No, no, the credit score is does not determine the amount of loan. The amount of loan is again based on for SOAR is based on that 3-month revenue average. For the other programs, your credit score, if we're looking at you for a loan in the, say, in the BMSD revolving loan program, and you've got some issues, what we may do is do a smaller loan and give you an opportunity to get some things to build up more of a track record over a 6-month period, say, or a year period, and then come back and try to work out a bigger infusion of cash to meet you where you are. But most of our loan lending is going to really be focused on your revenue projections. So we want to, if you can demonstrate that you're going to have a cash flow to cover the debt up to the amount that you're looking for, that's really the main factor that we're looking at is, how you're going to be able to pay the loan back more so than what's happened in your past.
Okay, thank you. Next question comes from Jamila Mannings. If your business had nothing but losses and zero revenue since inception, will you qualify?
If you had nothing but losses and no revenue, it's gonna be, honestly, I think it's gonna be difficult to get you qualified for a significant amount of money in SOAR. We'd probably treat that almost like a startup. And so we'd look at your revenue projections and try to make a loan based on that, either through SOAR or through one of the other products. But the main thing is you've got to be able to demonstrate that you can pay the loan. So if you've had zero revenue since inception, you just need to be able to show that that's not the future, that your business has some viability and that you can service the debt.
Thank you. Okay, next question comes from Brooke Trace. Is this based on geographic zoning?
Well, for SOAR, if you're in the state of Florida, the whole state is covered. For the BMSD loan fund, you need to be in the Broward Municipal Service District. And if you contact us, we can tell you right away whether you'd qualify within the district based on your address or your business address.
Thank you. Next question comes from Sharice Irons. What if you are a nonprofit business that recently moved into the area?
Well, if you've been in business if your nonprofit was operating in another area, we look at it as it's just a location change. So it wouldn't be like a new organization. If it's a brand new organization, then again, it would fall into that startup category, and particularly as a nonprofit, would probably not qualify for SOAR.
Okay, thank you. Next question comes from Curtis Eben. Does the business have to be located in Broward? I recently moved to Palm Beach, but the majority of my clients and business is in Broward.
The answer is no. Your business, to qualify for this program, your business does not have to be in Broward County. Yes, it can be anywhere in Florida. Obviously, we're here today to promote Broward County, so I'm glad to hear that you're doing business in Broward County. But no, you don't. If your business is located in anywhere in Florida, you would qualify for SOAR.
Okay. Thank you. Next question comes from Macdur Alabre. How much revenue does the company need to obtain funding?
There is no set amount of revenue that you need. I mean, whatever your revenue is going to determine the amount of funding that you receive. So again, if we're looking at that 3-month average, remember, we're going to look at 3 months of revenue, and and that's the amount, that will be the maximum amount of loan that you'd be eligible for under SOAR. Now, the beauty of us having this diverse portfolio of loan products is that if SOAR doesn't meet your need in terms of being able to provide the amount of capital that you need based on the fact that you on your past revenue, and you can show that if you've got solid projections for higher revenue amounts to support more debt, then we can generally find additional resources to meet your needs.
Thank you, Joe. I just want to take a moment to note that we are going to go ahead and launch our customer satisfaction survey while we continue on with our Q&A portion. So please, all of those who are still with us in the session, go ahead and respond to the survey. We really like your feedback. So moving on, the next question comes from Sandra. Besides the 3-month income average, are there other things you look at to decide high loan amount?
Yeah, again, it's really the revenue is projected revenue is the other thing that we look at, and the need. I mean, what are you going to use it for? If you're doing a real estate acquisition deal, or something where we look at something like a 7A loan, then we'd tie the loan amount to the need, and again, your ability to service whatever amount of debt that you're requesting. So the bottom line is, we're not going to give you more money than you can afford to pay back within the terms of whatever loan product we're using. So we'll work with you. We'll help you to either review or even to develop the kinds of financial projections and financial statements that you need to really understand how much you need. Most of the businesses that we work with really don't have a clear understanding as to what they need from a debt standpoint, or what they can afford. And more often than not, particularly with minority businesses, we end up undercapitalizing businesses, which almost sets businesses up for failure, because they get enough money to open their doors or to deal with immediate issues. And if they haven't really projected all of the ups and downs that their business is liable to deal with over the course of a period of time, a year to 5 years, then they're really not sure how to properly capitalize themselves. And so we can work with you to figure those things out, figure out exactly how much you need, how much you can afford, and a source to get you what you need.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, next question comes from VJ Michaelini. He's inquiring about collateral. Is no collateral required from the owner?
No collateral is required. I mean, you'll make a personal guarantee for SOAR. So no, for some of the other loan funds, depending on what you're going to use the funds for, we may collateralize the business assets, but related to that loan, but no personal assets are collateralized. We won't come after your house, and we don't want your car. We want you to be able to position yourself to be able to manage the debt. And again, we've got a lot of resources to help you to figure those things out.
Wonderful. Okay, we have a question from Sandra, another question from Sandra. Do you provide funds for commercial properties? I'm sorry.
You mean commercial property acquisition? I'm assuming, and the answer would be yes. If that property is going to be used as part of your business, then yes. If we don't do real estate development funding with these programs in terms of, if you're buying real estate as a developer to develop it and have somebody else come into it as a business, then that's different. We could fund your operation in terms of you being in that business to do that, but not the project. We don't do development project funding, except in the BMSD. If you're in the BMSD, we've got funding that we can actually use to facilitate real estate development within the district.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have 2 questions from Sheann Sterling. First question, to clarify, if the prior COVID March 2020, our monthly revenue was 30,000, then the average 3 months would be 90,000. And she also, the next question is, if you have multiple businesses, can you apply for each business under the Soar program?
Okay, the answer to the first question is yes, you're correct in your math that if your monthly revenue average is 30,000, then you qualify for up to 90,000 in funding. And the second question, repeat the second question again, sorry.
If you have multiple businesses, can you apply for each business under the Soar program?
Yes, it's the program is funding the business. So if you've got separate businesses with as long as the business is incorporated separately and not an affiliate or a subsidiary of another business that you've applied for with a SOAR loan, we can fund multiple businesses that have the same owners.
Okay. Thank you. The next question comes from Cynthia Alexander. On the soarloan.org website, the application, it states 3 months prior to application date. Is this different than your loan system?
It states 3 months prior to the application date. Right. So that's again, I think we've made an adjustment as we've gone with as we've gotten further away from that March 2020 date, and we realized that there have been additional businesses that have, it's been 2 years now. So businesses have started since then. So what we're doing now is looking at that 3-month period since your business was started, if it started after that March 2020 period.
Okay. I think you might have touched upon this next question. It comes from Lydia Carvalho. The company already got the EIDL from SBA. Can they still apply?
Yes, yes, this has nothing to do with SBA, with EIDL. If you got EIDL, if you got PPP, any other loan other than a SOAR loan would not disqualify you from eligibility for SOAR. So no, it's designed to supplement those funds. We realized that those things were those programs were designed to sort of stop the bleeding during COVID. And this program is really about recovery. What do we do now if we made it to the other side? How do we get back on our feet and position our business for stability and growth?
Thank you. Next question comes from Hardy. My security business is based on securing contracts. How do we consider projections?
Basically, you'd need to project what kinds of contracts that you're going to be securing, and obviously we're going to look at that and make some determination as to how viable those projections are. But whether you're doing contracts or you're a service organization, it's going to be in a similar situation where you're not producing something and selling it and have units that you can project out. We really just look at the viability of those activities and make a judgment as to whether those projections are reasonable. And again, we can provide technical assistance to your business to help you to work through that process, so that you, not just for the purpose of this loan, but for the sake of the viability of your business, it's important that you really understand how to project your revenue and your expenses over a period of time to determine what your cash needs are.
Thank you,
Matter of fact, we had a class yesterday related to that.
Oh, wonderful. We are coming to the end of our time with the session here, and we have a number of questions still left, so we can ask a few more, and then we'll be sure to share these questions and get them answered. Next question comes from Angela Booker. What if your credit score is good, but you have a student loan in default? Can you do a loan?
Yes, you can. We're not a government agency. We don't look at, we have no way of knowing about student loan defaults, and we're not looking to find that out with this one.
Okay. The next question comes from Macador Alebre. Does applying for SOAR disqualify you to apply for another loan opportunity from NDC? Pardon me.
No, it doesn't. And quite often we end up combining SOAR loans with other loan products to meet the needs of the business. So SOAR is a great resource. It's simple, it's easy. We want everybody to take advantage of it, but we realize that SOAR in and of itself might not solve all your needs. So once you engage with us, our goal is to make sure that you have the capital that you need to operate your business and to grow your business. And if SOAR doesn't meet that total need, then we try to apply other resources.
Okay. All right. So we'll close out with one more question. How long does the application process take?
It can be as short as a week. Brian has done some in 4 or 5 days, and it could take up to 30 days. It really depends on the borrower getting all the information that's needed for the application. Again, it's not a lot of information, but if you've got all of that information to complete the application, we can generally turn your loan around in 5 to 10 business days.
Great. Thank you so much. We will work on getting the remaining questions answered because we want to make sure we are respectful, pardon me, of everyone's time here since we are now at 1:30. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you to our presenter, Mr. Joseph Gray with NDC. Thank you for imparting all this wonderful information to all of our attendees. We also want to send a shout out to Mr. Brian Cunningham for joining us as well and entertaining people in the chat, and also to our director and assistant director who joined us today, Sandy Michael McDonald, our director, and our assistant director, Maribel Feliciano. Also, just keep an eye out. There is an NDC event coming up on July 26th for those of you all who may be able to participate. We also have a partner event coming up on August 11th that we also encourage you to participate in at the Signature Grand in person. And last but not least, our Florida International Trade and Cultural Expo is coming back October 19th and 20th at the Broward County Convention Center. Thank you all so much for your time, and we appreciate you joining us.